Right, y'all. We are back for part two. Let's get it, man. Let's go.
City, aka O-Block, Lamron, 600, and Mac Creek, which at the time was a faction that was part of Dro City. It seems that as early as late 2011, Chris World had been getting increasingly close with Trap City, in the process cementing their beef with TYMB. Therefore, when Obama was eventually killed in March 2012, Trap City and Chris World would immediately become one of their targets for revenge. Regardless of who may have been behind the murder, J Boogie and other Chris World members were now in an active also re-released the song 067K Dis, but this time with a music video where he can be seen driving around Trap City's hood. But unfortunately, things weren't about to just stay online, and only a few months later, in August 2013, 06679 would lose another important member, none other than Kenny Mack from Chris World, real name Kenneth Barber, the very person rumored to have been behind the murder of Obama. A few days later, a photo—
That's crazy, y'all. Some people, some people you probably think it'd be your homies or y'all clicked up with, and the whole time they're gonna backdoor you, man. It's crazy.
So journalists would capture the scene where Kenny had been killed and where his friend
Okay.
Going into 2013, the Chicago drill music scene was reaching its peak, propelled by the immense popularity of Chief Keef. But while other up-and-coming drill artists were largely keeping the similar dark and violent themes that had made the genre popular, both lyrically and sonically, Chief Keef himself, who was now living the good life in the rich suburbs just outside of Chicago and surrounded by all the lean and loud he could possibly consume, would quickly begin to experiment with his sound, cranking his auto-tune settings to the max while beginning to add much more melodic elements to his rapping, combined with an often heavy slurring, likely at least partially caused by his increasing consumption of that prescription cough suppressant. Keef would also largely ditch his—
It's crazy, bro. Keith is like the person from Chicago that got lit from rapping and actually got out and stayed out and not really diss nobody like that, like he was, you know what I'm saying? He got his money moved his family out, living in California, and he living good now. He ain't gotta go back. What is he? He ain't gotta go back for me.
Day one producers during this period, instead accepting beat submissions from random YouTube and SoundCloud producers, many of whom had taken the more upbeat elements from Keith's earlier projects, particularly his debut album Finally Rich, but turning those elements up tenfold. These beats were much more influenced by the late 2000s and early 2010s Atlanta rap and trap music, with artists and groups such as Roscoe Dash, Travis Porter, Young LA, and J Money, as well as of course Future, with inspiration also being taken from prolific producers from the area like DJ Spins, London on the Track, and KE on the Track. But with a new twist, these beats eventually got the label of futuristic beats amongst fans. While at the time, this era of Chief Keef was extremely criticized by mainstream rap fans, it's now largely considered perhaps his most influential era, playing a large role in making him one of the contenders for the most influential rapper of the 2010s, with this era that his fans tend to call the Lean era, together with what would eventually evolve around 2014 into an equally fantastically named era, the Zan era, arguably largely birthing what would become known as mumble rap, as well as playing an enormous role in influencing the flows, rapping styles, and beat choices of later popular artists like Lil Uzi Vert, Playboi Carti, Kodak Black, and countless others. But the reason why Chief Keef's 2013 era is so important to mention here is because by late 2013 and going into 2014,
Hold on.
And 2015, the members of Chris World would also end up getting heavily involved in the buzzing Chicago music scene. But unlike the majority of rappers coming out of Chicago at this time, they would attempt to build heavily on this new sound that Chief Keef was creating, even using the same YouTube and SoundCloud producers such as Intel on the beat, who was one of the producers behind Chief Keef's classic that perhaps best describes the Lean era, the song Love No Thotties. Another producer who was getting commissioned a lot during this period was the French beat phenom Cash Money AP, who produced numerous songs for Keef and other GBE members during this time. Chris World would do this under the name Finesse Crew, which the Chris World rapper Saw J would present in his solo song titled after the group in September 2013. In the music video, we can see many key members of Chris World, including the main people of the Finesse Crew, including of course Saw J himself, as well as Chief 2 Times, Smooth, Bad Habit, now going by BH, and J Boogie, who incredibly at this point was still only 15 years old. J Boogie would eventually not only appear in these videos, but also participate in the rapping, such as the song BAS, released with a music video in May 2014, and a music video for Finesse Party, which was released in November 2014. J Boogie
it's crazy though. I feel like, bro, like, most of them, like, they probably do want to do sports or go to school, but, like, where they grow up at, it's like they're, like, kind of, like, forced into the streets, if that makes sense. They're like forced into the streets. It's just crazy how this stuff works for real, y'all. Like it's crazy for real. I'm not gonna lie, it's crazy, y'all. It's for real crazy. It's for real crazy.
Released early solo songs such as his 2014 remix of Bobby Shmurda's Hot N-Word, but for whatever reason, these songs have been now wiped off the internet. Despite most of Finesse Crew's songs being pretty upbeat party anthems, they would also keep repping their gang sets in their music videos, including in the banger titled Forever Mac and Chris, which was released in June 2015, as well as being seen dropping Y's for TYMB. However, TYMB was taking the dissing once again to another level, as Money Man would release his remix of Lil Durk's Competition, titled No Competition, in July 2014. Once again, he would get straight to the point, beginning the song by dissing Scooter and Rio, as well as Kenny Mac and Chris World. He would then begin his verse by saying how he blew someone's brain back on the 67th before aiming his diss directly at J Boogie, saying that he better cool and asking how is he even Chris World when he didn't even know Chris personally, as he had seemingly stayed flipside in 2010 when Chris was killed. Whether or not J Boogie actually knew Chris personally is unclear though, as Boogie himself has seemingly indicated that he did in fact know him, and that he has stayed on 67th since he was a young boy. Money Man would also diss Drill City and several other members from 06679 and their affiliated sets, such as Lil Ricky from Chris World and Lil Ant from Mix Mob, who was killed in 2013. Perhaps as a response to this song, Finesse Crew would eventually end up making their own dedicated diss track, released with a music video in May 2015. This song was called simply War, and the beat was a much more standard dark drill anthem. In the song, the Finesse Crew rappers go back and forth, spitting bars whilst dissing their ops, particularly TYMB, with Boogie also taking part in the rapping, saying that he's the youngest running things, being now 17 years old, before telling how he's driving through the Ops hood with big clips while dropping Ys with both hands. This music video would also have a major cameo from a rapper who was making a lot of noise around this time, having become known a few years earlier for being one of the best friends of a true Chicago drill legend, LA Capone. This rapper was JB Bin Laden, who is the first person to appear in the video. He too
JB Bin Laden. Oh, that's him. That's him, y'all.
dropping Ys with both hands. But this was not in fact the first time that JB had made an appearance on a Finesse Crew video, as already in December 2014, he can be seen in their music video for the song Kickstand Lean Boys, together with none other than Boss Top from O-Block, with this possibly reflecting how O-Block had now fallen out with TYMB2. JB is from a BD set called 400 East or 400E, which is directly on the other side of the Interstate 90 from Trap City and Chris World, with their main block being on the 71st and King Drive. Due to JB's close relationship with LA Capone, and LA even allegedly living on 400 East Hood with JB for a period of time, the set would even take on the name LA Gang in his honor following his death. But it seems that JB had a particularly strong bond with J Boogie, as he would often post and shout him out on social media.
Wow.
Wait, so O-Block and them was cool with each other? Like 600 or what happened?
It's like a blue cigarette, a blue one. Pow!
However, not everyone was happy about people outside of 600 paying tribute to LA Capone, and 600 member Blast His Ass, aka Blastum, would in fact call out J Boogie and Chief 2 Times, aka Vontae, for throwing the LA hand sign on social media. But anyway, Chris World and also members like JB from 400 East were still also close with 0679, aka Trap City, and the Drill City Alliance. And particularly they were hanging out with members like CJ from Drill City. Meanwhile, it appears that in Drill City's hood, a new clique was forming, where guys like CJ were heavily involved in, with the earliest mention about the name seemingly going all the way back to the early 2010s. This clique, of course, being the Bloodhounds. It appears that they were particularly influenced by the early Glory Boys rappers, like pretty much all of Chicago at that point, and would often quote on social media lyrics from rappers like Lil Reese and Gino Marley, mentioning how they were like bloodhounds. Towards the end of 2015, CJ would even begin to tease what appeared to be a music project titled Bloodhound Savages. Going into 2016, CJ, J Boogie, and JB were seemingly still spending a lot of time together. Also, members from other sets were beginning to claim the Bloodhound clique, such as the members from the MTV 079 set.
Yeah, you see them bandanas, that mean we Bloodhound. Yeah. Come right through with your flag out.
Got the mask on, get your car flipped over.
Video, he just looking at us, bro. Bloodhound.
Yeah. Are we Bloodhound on Vernon too?
As mentioned in an earlier chapter, MTV 079 is a brain-dead BD set that has had a long-running beef with the same sets as Drill City and Trap City, namely the historical majority GD sets from Lon City, Evans Mob, A-Tray Mob, and Hit Squad. However, MTV's relationship with Drill City and Trap City was a complicated one, as they had seemingly until recently been also cool with the other brain-dead BD set that these two were beefing with, called Wiz City. This being likely another example of just how quickly the alliances and beefs were evolving in the area. But in any case, soon the Bloodhound clique was beginning to drop music, just like CJ had teased in late 2015, as in May 2016, they would drop a new song called Vicious, featuring the rappers MTV Cash from MTV 079, Hothead from Drill City, formerly Tank Montana from Mix Mob, and Drezzy Bands from Drill City, and in the chorus, labeling themselves as the Bloodhound villains. Some months later, in October 2016, Hothead would drop a song with a music video titled simply Bloodhound, where he warns his ops that if they're on any type of BS, they're going to die, and that he's a bloodhound and he wants his money dirty, like blood money. Around this time, J Boogie was now also repping.
Would be wrong? What? That is crazy, y'all. That's insane. You guys understand? That's insane. That is insane, y'all. Not lying. That's crazy. Crazy. That's what?
The Bloodhound crew commonly on his social media. And going into 2017, the clique was beginning to gain increasing momentum, culminating in their biggest song at that point, the song Bloodhounds, released with a music video in April, which at the time was the song featuring the most Bloodhound-affiliated rappers, including CJ from Drill City, JB Bin Laden from 400 East, Hothead from Drill City, and MTV Chino and MTV Cash from MTV 079. The song is a pure Bloodhound anthem, mixed in with a very dark drill beat, with CJ beginning the song by rapping how the Bloodhounds are making noise in the streets and that he's not talking about the music. JB comes in by also repping Bloodhound from the start, followed by
making noise in the streets, but making noise, but not in the music. In the streets.
Hothead, who raps how the ops know that the Bloodhounds are the ones sending shots and the killing won't stop. MTV Chino then begins his verse with a much more pointed diss aimed likely at either the A-Tray Mob or the Evans Mob, or both, as well as dissing Brick Squad 069, made famous by late rapper Lil Jojo, who was seemingly close with the A-Tray Mob at the time.
What?
A-Tray Mob. Say it, bro. On the motherfucking Oh, here, say, man, we out here, man.
The song is ended by MTV Cash, who implies that others are trying to claim the name Bloodhound, but they are the real Bloodhounds. Also, Jay Boogie is in a visible role in the music video where he's often shown toting his gun with a laser beam. And at the very end of the song, someone who sounds a lot like Boogie even begins to rap a few bars before the song fades out. The Bloodhounds were at this point clearly an established group, seemingly made primarily out of members from Drill City, Chris World, 400 East, and MTV 079. But while they were for a time being putting out quality music, it was clear from their raps that they were also staying very busy in the streets. Meanwhile, Lil Jeff had gotten to about high school age, still holding on to his dream of becoming a professional basketball player.
Look at this, bro. He was hooping. 2017. That's 2017, y'all. 2017, y'all. Sophomore basketball team in that championship. He went from hooping, could have went to college, to being in the street.
His 2017 sophomore team
Hops off the. That's crazy though, y'all. He goes from hooping this and that. Could have probably could have got a scholarship, and now in the streets. Wow.
Coming into the 2020s, Jay Boogie and the rest of the Bloodhounds would keep repping their new clique in their music, such as the May 2020 music video for the song Go by Boogie, JB, and another Drill City rapper called Lil Vic, where Boogie first raps that he's only been out for 60 days but has already ran his paper back up, with this likely referring to his 2017 arrest on numerous charges, the most serious one being UUW, or unlawful use of a weapon, for which he would end up receiving a 4-year sentence. He would then mention the Bloodhounds, saying that they will come and get anyone for the right bag, all while the members would be flexing big bags of vacuum-sealed dope in the music video. JB then steps in and calls the Bloodhounds his family, while flexing a new Bloodhound chain, which is the very same design that Jeff would later rock in his own music videos. Boogie also comes back towards the end as he compares the Bloodhounds to an army due to the wide selection of guns that they have. The Bloodhounds would also have a new rapper that would begin to drop a bunch of songs around this time too. His name was Bloodhound Z Money, real name Zaire Nelson. In fact, he's actually Lil Jeff's cousin, with some of Jeff's family members from his mother's side commonly liking and commenting on Z Money's family's social media posts. There are also old photos of Z Money from the early 2010s together with Jay Boogie and the mother of Jeff and Boogie. In a music video by Z Money dropped in December 2020, Z Money can be seen hanging out with Jay Boogie, flexing big guns and stacks of cash. Unfortunately, not long before this video dropped, Boogie would get in trouble with the law once again in August 2020, when he was seemingly arrested twice on numerous charges, including possession of a stolen vehicle and once again UUW. This would once again see Jay Boogie doing another long bid in prison, with his projected parole date now being
8 years. Damn, Jay Big, what you do, bro? What do you do?
in 2027. Meanwhile, the new generation of Drill City, Trap City, and Chris World members were also reaching adulthood. One of these kids being the Bloodhound rapper Vert, or Relvert, who seemingly spent much of his childhood in these neighborhoods. In fact, his and his old friend's social media accounts still have plenty of pictures left from around that time period, and in these pictures, a young Vert can be seen dropping the Ys, likely once again for TYMB, whilst also throwing what seems to be either a 6 or a B hand sign, perhaps either as a homage to 66th Street meaning Trap City or Chris World, or for Barnum, that Drill City rep. Or the B may possibly even represent the Bloodhounds, which at this time were already a major thing amongst many of the older members from the area, who were using this very same hand sign. Now, Vert is slightly older than Jeff, and he would also begin his rap career a few years before him, for example his music video for a song called Next Song Remix, dropping in early 2019. The music video begins with Vert saying that they are posted up on the 79th, meaning Drill City's hood, before once again dropping Y's and throwing the 6 or B hand sign.
Hey,
You know how the fuck come in,
don't know, man. You know I'm coming in. Oh, 7 now, you know we in this man. Yeah.
Whole lot of that.
Yeah, a whole lot of that.
He then begins his verse by saying how he's posted on the 9 and sometimes on the 6, meaning that he hangs out in both Drill City's hood and Trap City or Chris World's hood. While it appears that Vert was mostly repping Drill City, he would also be very close with Trap City members, as can be seen from his 21st birthday vlog in 2022, where he hangs out in Trap City's hood, with this video being eerily posted exactly 2 years before Jeff's death in that very same hood. More specifically, Vert is hanging in the video near 67th and Evans, while Jeff would be killed near 67th and Rhodes, only about a 0.3 mile walk away. Vert would also explain in his early 2022 interview with Truth Teller TV that he was both Drill City and Trap City.
I'm from 67 Trap City and 79 Drill City. My name L'Oreal Vert, man.
Meanwhile, during the late 2010s, another main rapper from the new generation of Bloodhounds, who is also a cousin of Jeff and Z-Money, Q50, was still attending high school, eventually graduating in 2022. Jeff, on the other hand, was still largely absent from any social media activity concerning Drill City or Bloodhounds coming into the 2020s.
Oh, they
with one
both
of his
both of them graduated recently in the last couple years. It's crazy. That's what?
first appearances seemingly being in a late 2021 music video by Z-Money titled Gone MIA, where a 19-year-old Jeff can be seen chilling in the background while his cousin raps, while his other appearance will be soon after in a music video for his brother J Boogie and JB Bin Laden's track titled N-Words Green, where Jeff can be seen next to his big bro smoking big blunts and toting a gun with a drum magazine, showing that at this point he was already likely deep in the streets together with his brother. Coming into the 2020s, it seems that the beefs of the 06679, aka the Chris World, Trap City and Drill City Alliance, which now included also the Bloodhound clique, were now increasingly beginning to revolve around their oldest enemies, the GD majority sets of the former Lon City, A-Tray Mob, Evans Mob and Hit Squad, which is likely why they were increasingly dropping rakes for the GDs in their music videos instead of the Ys for TYMB like they had primarily done throughout the 2010s. That would have been back when the beef with TYMB was particularly hot, but still, Vert would aim his disses in his September 2020 song No Dissin' squarely at TYMB and A-Tray Mob, saying both Die Y for TYMB and F83rd for A-Tray Mob. However, in his November 2021 remix of Lil Durk's track Piss Me Off, he would rap how it's F the Ops and Young Money, perhaps showing that the beef with TYMB was a much more passive beef now, while the beef with A-Tray Mob, Evans Mob and Hit Squad was much more active at this time.
Oh. Yo, I just don't get it how some of them be so blacks or what do you want to call it, they be so close to each other, y'all. That's like, imagine if you're gonna walk to a store, go to a food to get some food or get some snack, and like you gotta watch your back every moment, like, cause you don't know what's going to happen.
Some months before the release of that song, on the 1st of March 2021, a very respected A-Tray Mob member called Clay, real name Darian Cherry, was sitting in his car in the A-Tray Mob's hood on the 86th Street when another car pulled up next to him and somebody began firing shots from the inside. Clay received a gunshot to the mouth and was transported to the University of Chicago Medical Center in critical condition. Clay would survive the shooting for the time being, but would remain in hospital fighting for his life. One member from the A-Tray Mob who would comment on Clay's situation particularly often was a guy called Lil Crew, real name Nyreek Curtis, who was seemingly a very close friend of Clay. Crew was also an aspiring rapper who had been releasing music since at least 2017. Crew would comment on Facebook the very next day how he wasn't going to say too much, perhaps insinuating that he was going to respond by actions and not with words. However, his later post would also make it clear that Clay's situation was weighing heavily on his mind. Crew would also write about a week after Clay had been shot how they were testing their guns on stop signs because the ops weren't outside. And later, he would comment on how the ops had been on their high horse after Clay had been shot, even though they knew Clay had been sliding on them often. Unfortunately, Clay would eventually succumb to his injuries and pass away in May 2021. And to honor his memory, a Tray mob would begin to call their block the Clay Way. Clay's murder has never been solved, but the rumors online have placed the blame on a few different people. One of these, perhaps somewhat surprisingly, being Lil Jeff himself, with some people claiming that this information comes from a reliable source, while others would claim that—
How will people know that? How will people know that or do know that? How?
Clay had in fact been killed by Vert. However, to be absolutely clear, there's seemingly no real evidence to tie either of them to this murder, although they would certainly take part in dissing Clay on social media, and in music, such as on Vert's song Knuck If You Buck that was released on October 2022, where Vert raps how 8-Tray Mob thought that Clay's name was ringing in the streets, but now he's irrelevant, as well as dissing another 8-Tray Mob member for allegedly getting shot and injured. Unfortunately, Vert and Drill City were soon about to experience a major loss of their own. During his teenage years, Vert had seemingly been particularly close with a guy from Drill City called Ruger, real name Jermaine Darden. Unfortunately, Ruger would be gunned down in Drill City's hood in March 2021, whilst 2 others were wounded. This would be another devastating loss for the people close to him. Q52 would pay his respects to Ruger right after his death, showing that while he might have been absent at this point from the music videos of guys like Vert, he was very much involved in the street side of things. Like Clay before him, the killing of Ruger would also become yet another unsolved murder in Chicago. However, there has certainly been some interesting posts that have come out after his death, one of these being a post from one of the cousins of Clay, who would say how he'd risked his life to get back for Clay. And then, less than a month after Ruger's death, on the 13th of April 2021, at around 7 p.m, Lil Crew would be outside of the very same 300 block of 86th Street where Clay had been shot at the beginning of March, when someone would open fire at him, striking him in the chest. Crew would then be taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center, just like Clay had been, but this time the injuries were immediately too critical, and Crew would be pronounced dead soon after arrival. Yet again, the murder of Crew would go unsolved, but in online spaces such as Reddit, the Jeffologists themselves, who have been rumored to possess an almost otherworldly ability to see the victims—
how they know that he got? How they know what a Pacific person is doing that? Bro, this. Tell me, bro, the internet be doing the police job for them. The police don't gotta do nothing, bro. They ain't gotta do nothing at all.
Their demigod and his disciples in their crystal balls have once again pinned this murder on Vert. Some would even claim that Vert himself had gotten shot in the leg before Crew's murder, which he references in an unreleased song. This possibly even being the same shooting where Ruger would die and 2 others would be injured, one of these 2 then possibly being Vert. Vert would also mention Crew in the song Knuck If You Buck, as well as the rapper Don Darius from 8-Tray, who was one of the early rappers for the set before he was killed in 2013, saying that he can't go out like Don D and that 8-Tray haven't got a get back for Crew and Clay, with at least the implication being that the 06679 were indeed behind the murders of both Crew and Clay. But perhaps the most telling lyrics from Vert are in a lesser known song from early 2022 titled Live or Die by the Chris World rapper Chief 2 Times, now going by the name Big Boss 2 Times, featuring Tero and RB Tasky from Trap City, as well as Vert, who raps in his verse how it's F8-Tray, before specifically mentioning both Crew and Clay, saying how he got them both lit. Yet others have claimed that Crew was in fact killed by somebody from the Woodlawn set 800, who are known for beefing with numerous sets, including both the Bloodhounds and the 8-Tray mob. However, what is once again clear is that following the murder of Crew, Vert would use many of his songs to send messages that they had in fact gotten get back for Ruger. Firstly, in the beginning of June 2021, Vert would drop a music video for his song titled Play by the Rules, where the video begins with a tribute clip of Ruger dancing to Lil Durk's song No Auto Dirk, where Dirk raps the famous line, "New op pack in the air, this gas or what?" Then, a few months later, at the end of August 2021, Vert would drop a music video for his song Drill Life, where he raps how he has to kill 10 of his ops for them to feel what he felt, with this likely being another reference to Ruger. This was followed in November with a much more direct claim in Vert's Pissed Me Off remix, with Vert rapping how they got get back for Ruger and how they lost 1, but their ops lost 4. Then, once again, at the end of December 2021, Vert would drop a music video called Gang, together with JB and a rapper called Lil Cap, where they can be seen with a cutout of Ruger, while Vert begins the song by rapping how they cried for Ruger but also slid for him, and that the score is not even, with him implying that they are doing so much damage that their ops are claiming that 06679 is cheating. The dissing would continue in 2022 when Vert would release the music video for his song titled simply Drill, where Vert first repeats a bar of how someone was dissing on their raps but now they can't speak, with this being a possible reference to Crew.
He was dissing on his raps, now he can't speak.
before then continuing
got
to
it,
pay
bro. They
tribute
got
to
it.
Ruger,
Oh my
saying that he's
gosh.
pulling up on his ops block and making them run. And the references to Ruger would just keep coming, with Vert then releasing a music video for his song 21 in June 2022, with this being the music video that they had been filming in Trap City's hood during the celebration for Vert's 21st birthday. In the song, Vert once again mentions how he cried after Ruger's death, but that he had then wiped his tears and gone to sliding, and saying how it's been back-to-back homicides ever since. At this point, it was clear that no matter who had been behind these murders, the war around the East Side was getting very heated, and unfortunately, the war wouldn't only continue between the established alliances, such as 8-Tray, Evans, and Hit Squad versus the Drill City, Trap City, Chris World, and the Bloodhounds, but it would eventually morph into a deadly civil war within the 06679 alliance.
It's they going against each other, dog. See, this is why you can't click up, because there's gonna be sooner or later people are gonna be. Come on now. There's no structure. There's no structure, man.
In late 2022, the time would finally come when Lil Jeff, or Bloodhound Lil Jeff, as his artist name would be, begun his rap career, dropping his first song and music video titled The Bloody Family, together with JB Bin Laden, with the name of the song being an obvious reference to his gang in the streets, the Bloodhounds. In his DJU interview, Jeff would attribute the beginning of his music career to Vert, who had encouraged him to start rapping. This part of the interview coinciding with Jeff's right-hand man Q50 chopping up some prescription quality pain medication with a doctor-like focus and precision, showing that while Jeff would later earn the nickname the Pistol Professor, it was Q50 who was truly the Pill Professor. The track Bloody Family would be followed about a month later with Jeff's first solo song titled Can't Beat Us. In these songs, a babyface Jeff raps with a monotone delivery, lacking the high-pitched Joker-style voice that would later become his trademark. And this version of Jeff almost looks like a different person from the charismatic neck-tattooed demon that he would later appear as in his music videos, walking around his hood like he owned the place. Nevertheless, since the beginning, Jeff was rapping like he was really, truly about that life, ending the song Can't Beat Us with an outro monologue where he repeats twice how he's really not a rapper, whilst insinuating that he's actually a killer who just raps because that's what the fans want to see. This was followed in late November with the first collab between Jeff and Vert, a song and music video titled I Love My Draco, and the music video begins with a clip showing a masked up Jeff in traffic, contributing to the image that Jeff and the other young Bloodhounds were actively sliding in the streets in between dropping their songs. This would also be the first video where Jeff would begin to showcase the more high-pitched voice that would later become his trademark, with him giving a little monologue mid-song dissing his ops, particularly TYMB. Jeff would then begin rapping how his mum prays every day that he makes it back home, but he tells her that he's okay because he's the one doing all the killing, before flipping the script Lil Durk style as he announces how this is all fake and just a song, the insinuation of course being that this is really not just a song. The music video then ends with a scene of JB, Jeff, and Vert calling J Boogie in prison.
Free them boys, we them boys, man. These folks on the way.
Free J Boogie, man.
Free J Boogie the camera. Pain.
Free Boogie,
Free them boys, man.
But coming into 2023, Jeff would keep dropping new music with videos like the song N-Words B12 on March the 23rd, as well as the song Big 3 on April the 3rd, together with Q50 and another Bloodhound rapper, Slimito. In both music videos, Jeff can be seen surrounded by the Bloodhounds, including this time also his cousin Z Money, who is now playing the role of background character whilst giving Jeff all the limelight, as he once again continues to portray his image of a killer, insinuating on N-Words B12 how he'll see people that he's killed in hell. Unfortunately, as these music videos dropped, a tragedy had already stricken Jeff and the Bloodhounds that would completely change the alliances in the area, and ultimately cause the downfall of Lil Jeff. A few years before, in 2020, a bunch of rappers from the 0679 alliance of Trap City and Drill City, including RB Tasky, Lil Cap, Vert, and Mickal, will drop a music video for their song titled On Fire. The music video, which was filmed and released by AMF Visuals, who would eventually also become Lil Jeff's manager, is now interestingly unlisted. The music video begins with one of the most random cameos in perhaps all of drill history, with the camera showing King Von's sister, Kayla B, and the late Texas rapper Enchanting, who would sadly pass away in 2024, with both of them hanging out in Trap City's hood. The video also shows guys like Vert hanging out in Trap City be a huge times.
29 times? If they shot him 29 times, that just means they really wanted him gone, bro. That's crazy. That's
old friends from Trap City. Who's also a rapper, and OTF Black, who's actually a friend of Lil Durk and a Trap City OG, would give an interview to the Chicago YouTuber X-Man Rico, where they would insinuate that the relationship between Trap City and Drill City had actually gone sour over a stolen chain.
Cause the way Reddit, this is why I want the clip too. They say his dad from down here, Big J or something like that.
Everybody
Big J.
from around here. Anybody you got to.
Also, his daddy is from down here.
Yeah, fuck used to hang with them. They know what they did.
So okay.
They know what they did.
So okay, the Bloodhounds, y'all was cool.
Yeah, everybody they got a. That was my homie. He stole the chain, bro. We tried like he took it. He stole my home chain.
Was that South J?
Nah, brother. One of the other guys. This one of the other. This other one. Folks letting him wear the J. He come back like he got into a high speed with 12. Line saying he lost it. You know what I'm saying? That's how my they look. You know?
Yeah.
oh, for one thing, selling chains and y'all see what was cool, son, changing. Now y'all.
Yeah.
You know Jay Boogie, like Jay like he under us, that's our shorty. Like, I was in the feds in the city. Like this little brother, like on that. I don't know how this gonna play out. They say he ain't claiming the hood still, but he Trap City. That's what I'm saying. That's where he from. That's all weird, bro.
And you over Saturday night blood, like you can't.
But we already know Trap City and Drill City was the same. Bucky and Water, like that's our family. Yeah.
So that chain incident really split it up? Or was it something else before then?
It was a chain, really. It was a chain, man. They tried to steal a chain. He ain't take it. No, I ain't trying to limit his image. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like when it came to like when you I was a real, because you know we don't just move on situations. So we just feel like a lot of feel like it was just some dumb chain on my soul. Like, but from our hood being friendly, let them.
When it comes to Lil Jeff and his alleged bodies, the rumors and theories tend to range from the absurd, suggesting that he's truly a demon catching all of these bodies, to pretty much complete denial that he ever killed anyone at all. But there's no doubt to me that Jeff was really in these streets though, with several videos circulating on Q50's Instagram years later showing that by 2024, Lil Jeff was indeed a hardened gangster riding around the city, constantly strapped with guns, ready to kill at a moment's notice. However, it would seemingly be a process of several years before he would become the hardened gang member he was known as today. In one of the earliest YouTube videos covering Jeff's alleged bodies, his rumored murder spree stretches all the way back to September 2014, with his first alleged body supposedly being an 18-year-old who went by the name Mally Marl, real name Kamal Burton, who was allegedly affiliated with the A-Tray mob. Although the murder itself would take place in the far south side in the Old Geld Gardens community, at the time Jeff would have barely been a 12-year-old boy, seemingly gifted in basketball. He would have been spending most of his days training for a career in the sport. Also, according to a CPD spokesperson, Marl was approached by two men who then opened fire. The idea of a scrawny 12-year-old Jeff being mistaken for a grown man in this case sounding pretty unlikely. But for further context, even Jeff's own brother Boogie would have still only been 16 years old at the time of Marl's murder, albeit he would arguably always look older than his age. In more time, we'll likely learn much more about Jeff and his younger years as things come out, but when it comes to his deeds in the streets, it's likely much more sensible to take his own account of his childhood seriously. As he would recount in his DJU interview, Jeff would allegedly truly get in the streets quite late in his life, around 2020, this being his last year in high school and graduation.
So around what age did you jump off the porch and start hanging out in the streets?
I'm gonna say when I came outside for real, I was like 18 type.
Okay.
I just turned like 18.
However, this certainly doesn't mean that Jeff's childhood was normal by any of broader society standards, as Jeff would also open up to DJU, saying that his father was not in his life growing up, as he too, quote-unquote, stood on business. This perhaps being a reference to Jeffrey Harris Sr.'s alleged time in the streets with the 068 C block.
Let's say back then he wasn't around.
Says acting weird as shit. It's acting bogus. It's cool. I'm dope, man. He be doing what he do.
So how did that affect you back then, though? Not having pops around?
OG stood on business, so you know, that shit didn't matter for real.
But moreover, as we know now, Jeff's big brother, Jay Boogie, had clearly been in the streets since at least the early 2010s, which would seemingly affect Jeff's life and his experiences growing up significantly.
And I'm doing that. I've been seeing my whole life, you know what I'm saying? I told you I got an older brother, so this ain't nothing new for real. It's the same shit I've been seeing. Everything I was doing, I just saw already.
One of these significant moments in the young Jeff's life would of course be witnessing the murder of Kenny Mack. Whilst another incident that affected Jeff growing up was his family house getting shot up, with one of the bullets, according to Jeff, whizzing by right next to his head.
So can you tell us like who introduced you to the street life?
My brother.
Your older brother, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And how was he showing you the ropes?
Let me tell you, my crib got shot up when I was like 14. I was some stupid ass. The bullet that flew like right past my face. They had shot the back and the front. Then they blew the car up and set that on fire. It was busting. I ain't gonna lie, it was going on. That almost hit me, though. See what I'm saying? Dumb shit like that. That play a part. All type of. Just seeing that shit every day. I was seeing it every day, you know what I'm saying? So like everything they was, I was seeing that shit all the time. Just like I'm doing right now. It's just I'm a part of it now, so it's different.
Now, it's important to remember that while Jeff would seemingly appear in the drill scene almost out of nowhere, he was always the product of his environment, and that environment being one of the most dangerous in the whole of Chicago during the 2010s and beyond. When it comes to Jeff's time in the streets after 2020, when he supposedly got involved with the Bloodhound, heavy through his brother, there's still no shortage of alleged victims that are commonly or less commonly attributed to his supposed double-digit body count, with even the YouTuber who had originally published one of the first supposed body lists of Jeff spinning back with a new video sometime later, this time including only names post-2020. One of the more obscure names on this list of people that Lil Jeff allegedly took the lives of was an alleged member of the crew Hit Squad by the name of Lil Gutter, real name Ronnie L. Sistruk Jr., who would lose his life in 2021 around the same time when the young Bloodhounds such as Vert and Jeff would allegedly be responsible for the deaths of the A-Tray members Clay and Crew, with Gutter being shot down on the 13th of May 2021, eerily exactly 1 month after the murder of Crew on the 13th of April. Gutter would be caught on the 700 block of 79th Street, this location being a mere 4 minutes walk from the intersection of 79th and Maryland, one of the main spots that Jeff and other Bloodhound members have claimed in their music videos. However, when it comes to any actual proof that Jeff or the Bloodhounds were behind this murder, the evidence seems to be slim to none, with this particular case further muddled by the fact that Hit hit squad would have another, much more known member called Gutter 2, who would unfortunately also end up losing his life, in this case in 2015, allegedly by the Bloodhound affiliated set MTV 079, whose members have commonly dissed this Gutter over the years too. Another less commonly heard name in this YouTuber's list is an alleged member of the Evans mob called Black, real name Roger Lewis, who was a 33-year-old OG of his block, shot dead in a drive-by whilst driving in March 2022. The only problem with this theory is that Black's alleged killer was in fact charged already the following month, in April 2022, and is now serving his sentence for the murder. Also in 2022, Jeff would end up losing someone seemingly very close to him, a man named Jamarian Loston, better known in the streets as J-Mo, who was allegedly part of the 06679 Alliance. There are some rumors that claim that it was this murder that motivated Jeff to catch his first body as revenge, this victim getting allegedly caught outside of a corner store or gas station, as Jeff and other Bloodhounds have implied in several songs. Later on, there would also be some rumors surfacing online that Jeff was supposedly even carrying out contract killings all the way in Milwaukee, with one Chiracologist dropping a picture in the comments of Jeff hanging out with some alleged local gang members from Milwaukee, with this picture being from a music video of the rappers Ghost, 53206, Super Throwed Feifei, and K-Rax called Plenty Missed Calls, released in July 2023. This outfit actually being the very same one that Jeff is wearing in his music video for the song N-Words B12, released on March 2023. In fact, even now, K-Rax still seemingly has Jeff as his profile picture on Instagram, which he likely changed following Jeff's death. Jeff and the other Bloodhounds would also later make several references to doing contract killings and to Milwaukee, with JB Bin Laden rapping in the song Run But Can't Hide that
That's, bro. What is this? Hitman? What?
also features Lil Jeff, how the Bloodhounds have blood for hire, meaning that they're selling hits too. Whilst Jeff himself would also rap in the song LA Freestyle, how someone tripped and got killed, and how he's in Milwaukee like the NBA team, the Milwaukee Bucks. Q52 would claim in the leaked song BH4L how people know that he has bodies from state to state and that he's clapping people in Milwaukee for money. However, while some people on Reddit swear that this is a fact, there seems to be very little actual proof to back up these claims, and it appears that when it comes to the more plausible rumors, these will begin not long after the death of Z-Money in March 2023, with one of the first alleged victims of Jeff following Z-Money's murder being a young man called Lil Pooh, real name Pierre Boozer Jr., who hailed from Jeff's old stomping grounds, being allegedly part of the Flipside set who repped the 93rd Street. However, Pooh was seemingly well affiliated in the East Side, with his brother allegedly being part of the 95 mob located in the Princeton Park neighborhood, while Pooh was also, according to some, allegedly affiliated with none other than Trap City, with him even having 067 in his Instagram profile name. However, there's very little to be shown about his affiliations on his social media. To the contrary, there's more to be shown about Pooh's connection with the Bloodhounds, although the reason behind these connections could be either affiliation or rivalry. Whatever the case, at the time of his death, Pooh was seemingly living far away from Flipside, Trap City, or Drill City, all the way outside of the borders of Chicago on the 1800 block of 223rd Street in the community of Sauk Village. There, on the 9th of April 2023, a few weeks after the death of Z-Money, police would respond to reports of shots fired and find an unresponsive Pooh laying on the front lawn of his home with multiple gunshot wounds, and his death would soon be ruled a homicide. Unfortunately, it seems that from the beginning, the police had very little to go on to solve Pooh's murder, and they would end up reaching out to the public in the hope that they would receive some clues or witnesses might step forward, but these clues would never seemingly materialize, and this murder remains unsolved. However, in this case, there are
2003.
several examples of Lil Jeff seemingly claiming responsibility for Pooh's murder. For example, on the 9th of April 2024, the French Chicago drill aficionado Squid Ape would make a tribute post to Pooh on his Instagram, which would quickly gather numerous comments of people laughing at his death, which one commenter would ask what he had done to invoke such a reaction, to which Lil Jeff himself would comment saying that Pooh had been dissing Z-Money. Then, a few days before Jeff's death, an unreleased song of him was leaked online, the song having a bar where Jeff seemingly describes Pooh's death, saying how Pooh had dissed Z-Money and now he's gone, before describing someone waiting for him to come home whilst laying in the grass outside his house. This bar seemingly describing exactly what might have taken place before Pooh's murder. On Reddit, one commenter would point out how Jeff had been hanging out with members from Flipside not long before his death, whilst guessing that this is why the song was never officially released at the time. However, on Jeff's posthumous album Stepping in Blood, this song is indeed included with the title In Your Home. But what makes the matter even more confusing is the fact that one of Pooh's good friends from Flipside would seemingly post an earnest tribute to Jeff following his death. And to make matters even more complicated, Jeff by no means Goins wasn't the only one dissing Pooh after his death. Only a few days before the murder of Pooh, a young man would be killed in the community of Park Forest during an altercation at a house party. Park Forest being only a short drive away from Pooh's Sauk Village community. As it would turn out, the killed man was not just anyone, but an actual blood brother of the infamous rapper and Chicago drill, Wooski, originally from the STL EBT set. His brother, who was called Lowski, real name Ladarius Williams, allegedly belonged to a set called E-Block, and also apparently was part of a clique called Haddyway, which, much like the Bloodhounds, allegedly consists of members from a few different sets and is named after a boy called Haddy, who was killed in 2016. This clique having been in a deadly war with JB Bin Laden's 400 East set for years. As the rumor would be, Pooh had allegedly had something to do with Lowski's death, and following Pooh's death, the members of the Haddyway would also seemingly claim to have been behind his murder. Meanwhile, following Jeff's death, Pooh's brother would rejoice on social media, laughing at how everyone who had dissed his brother had ended up getting shot themselves. However, who all these people were besides Jeff was not entirely clear, as it seems that Pooh was a known menace on the east side, as a rapper affiliated with the Mixed Mob set called Lou Glocks would say in his tribute to Pooh. This being yet another example that Pooh seemingly had both many affiliations, but also many enemies on the east side. But then, coming into the summer of 2023, Jeff would allegedly catch someone that almost no one would deny being his likely victim. As mentioned earlier, the murder of Z Money would allegedly break down the decade-plus-long affiliations between Trap City or Chris World and Drill City, with Jeff and his Bloodhound friends from that point onwards seemingly being consumed by their urge for a get-back for Z Money. In the song 333, which would seemingly first leak or be unofficially put out by Jeff's team some weeks before his death, the track would officially be released on the 14th of July with a music video that was filmed while Jeff was still alive. In the song, Jeff raps a bar about the Bloodhounds shooting so much on the Rhodes Avenue that their ops had to shut their trap down. This bar likely referring particularly to the Rhodes Avenue roughly between the 66th and 68th streets, which is one of the main areas of Trap City or Chris World. Indeed, looking at sources like Chicago's Spot News, who follow the CPD's police radio traffic, there would be numerous times that gunshots would be reported around that area during the summer and fall of 2023. In fact, in his February 2024 song called Striker, Jeff even specifically implies that they are the reason why Trap City's hood is so often on Spot News. However, the alleged get back for Z Money would surprisingly take place far away from the hood of Trap City. On the 25th of June, at around 8:55 p.m, Trap City member called Leal, real name Jaleel Goins, will be sitting in a parked rideshare car in the Little Italy neighborhood near the University of Illinois Chicago campus. This neighborhood, sometimes now called Little Italy or University Village, is these days a truly upmarket neighborhood that's experienced high levels of gentrification since its inception as the home of many of Chicago's first Italian immigrants, and the demolition of all the large public housing complexes during the 2000s. By all accounts, this is one of the safest neighborhoods in Chicago and one of the last places where one should expect to be a victim of gun violence. Nevertheless, while Leal was sitting in his rideshare car on the 1300 block of West Taylor Street, someone would approach the car on foot. Open fire through the rear passenger window, shooting inside the car numerous times before running away. The rideshare driver would immediately take off and drive the seriously wounded Leal to the nearest hospital, which was less than a mile away, but by that time, it would already be too late and Leal would be pronounced dead upon arriving at the hospital. The local ABC 7 News would be at the scene later that night and the next morning, interviewing the locals who had witnessed the shooting, with one of them explaining how the police may have counted 8 shots on the car window, but she claimed to have heard more than 20. This perhaps said something about the type of gun that was used in the shooting.
Well, as you know, these are very busy sidewalks. Here in Little Italy, you often have people walking to restaurants, bars, and stores, and last night was no different. Unfortunately, a young man lost his life, and a young man who is very well connected to an organization that many people in Chicago and across the country are familiar with, Project Hood. This evening, a statement from the founder about condolences and their recommitment to the work they do. Chicago police investigating a fatal shooting yesterday evening. 19-year-old Jaleel Goins was pronounced dead at Rush University Medical Center, but police and nearby residents tell us the incident began in the 1300 block of West Taylor Street, where Goins was a passenger in a rideshare and was shot. Then the rideshare driver drove Goins to the hospital.
I knew it was shots, and like I said, I was in my bedroom, and I kind of ran like on the side of my bedroom, on the other side of the wall, because, you know, bullets don't have eyes.
I thought that was it.
This woman was outside to meet someone. She tells me she was looking down at her phone, then heard the shots. She thought she had been shot, but she had not.
I'm down there on the ground crying and shaking and stuff. Pow, pow, pow. They said it was like 8 shots. No, I believe it was more than 20.
Pastor Corey Brooks confirms Goins was the son of an employee at Project Hood, releasing a statement saying in part, "Today, we are not just an organization. We are a family mourning the loss of a young life taken far too soon."
I'm still processing it because I'm still shaking.
It's scary. You know, we should be able to walk out our door, walk to get something to eat, walk to get the newspaper, Stuff is happening everywhere, but something definitely needs to be done about the crime.
Pastor Brooks tells us that Goins was a son of their executive assistant as well as a brother of their youth manager. In his statement, he went on to say, this reminds us of the need to stand together against gun violence. As for the investigation, Chicago police tell us at this point, no one in custody, no motive.
Following the incident, the rideshare driver too would open up about his traumatic experience, explaining how Leal had likely passed away already during the short drive to the hospital.
The rideshare driver whose passenger was shot to death in his car near UIC is opening up about the traumatic experience. 19-year-old Jaleel Goins was shot after getting into Robert Smith's car on Sunday night. Smith says he hit the gas when someone standing outside of the car started shooting. He rushed Goins to the hospital where he was pronounced dead.
I was running stop signs and intersections to get away. So at one intersection, I had to stop because there was a car coming through, and then I turned to him and said, hey, I'm going to take you to the hospital. And he said, okay. And then the next time I stopped, I had to stop at a light because there was 2 cars coming through the intersection, so I couldn't run it immediately. I looked back then and, he wasn't moving anymore.
Police have not made any arrests in this shooting.
The very next day, on the 26th of June, Jeff, together with JB and Q50, would drop their remix to Lil Yachty's popular track Coffin, reusing the beat and making their own version of the song with the same name. The song and music video had obviously been made a long time before Leal's death, but the timing of the drop is still pretty interesting given the title of this track, Coffin. And the music video for Coffin begins with Q50 showing an old video of Z Money to the camera as the title of the song is placed on top of it, and the video ends with Q50 making a Z hand sign to the camera, showing that the death of Z Money was certainly playing a major role in their lives at this point. While in the lyrics, Lil Jeff largely continues his usual antics, talking about toting switches and Dracos and killing his ops with face shots, as well as saying how their ops are sneak dissing and throwing subliminals, before ending his verse by saying how he might rob a rapper next while showing 2 bust-down watches fully flooded with diamonds on his arm. The implication seemingly being that Jeff was already deep in his habit of robbing people of their watches at this point, with him even rapping that he might rob a rapper that just signed a record deal. And for the record, these watches are serious licks. These aren't vintage Datejust we're talking about. The 2 watches being shown off in this video are serious pieces. One is an iced out Rolex Day Date, which would be worth at least $33,000 if real, and the other appears to be a fully iced out Audemars Piguet Royal Oak chronograph with Arabic numerals. Now, I'm not saying that this watch is definitely fake, but I did do a lot of digging and I couldn't find a single listing for an AP in 2-tone with the same dial layout and the Arabic numerals like the one Jeff's wearing in this video. Like, I couldn't find one at all. It doesn't exist. But I did find very similar configurations to the watch that Jeff's wearing, going for around $50,000 to $70,000. Perhaps it's an AP that's been customized, or perhaps it's fake, as I did find a very similar looking fake one for less than $600. But anyway, after dropping the song Coffin, Jeff would take a few months long hiatus from dropping new music, but he would still remain active on social media. During one Instagram live from this period that's still available online, Jeff describes how they are the reason their ops are dead or in a wheelchair, before Q50 notices someone who appears to be from Trap City commenting on the live how Jeff and Q50 are sharing the same Marnie mask, to which Q50 reacts by beginning to clap his hands, while putting on a smile that can only be described as devious, giving Jeff a run for his money for the #1 Joker of Chirac.
We the reason they in a wheelchair, they got shot or they brought a man.
Hey, who you talking about, boy? Hey. We was just talking on the phone, we was just cool, so who the fuck you talking about?
They said we sharing a Marnie mask. So first grade, we just had a mask that we, that's the hat.
What the fuck is that? That's a hat.
That's just like this.
The clapping of hands would eventually become somewhat of a trademark for Q50 when referring to killing ops or getting back for Z Money.
Y'all move out here. Everybody probably see y'all got the Z Money tattoo on your face. It's probably real noticeable.
You know that. You see, that's that related. That's that get back for my man. That's that get back for my man. That's that get back for my man.
Y'all basically let us know who that is too. We see y'all keep his name alive every chance y'all get.
That's cuz. That's our cousin, folks. Me and folks cousin. You see, folks them see them. Real sandbox, baby.
Let us know like the impact he had on the hood that he.
You see it tattoo on my face. You see it. Hey, look, relentless. Relentless. It's brothers. That's like that. Look. The same I cried about, you know.
Anyway, more Trap City members would soon enter the chat, aiming their disses particularly at Q50, saying how he just came outside in 2020, and pointing out that he has Z Money tatted on his face but hasn't even known him for over 5 years, as well as saying that he used to be just a gamer, to which Q50 would once again respond simply by clapping at the camera.
Hey, why do niggas talk about niggas running? Oh, ain't no ever have you running, folks. Hey, look though, folks. They got no money on these racks, man. Hey, hold on. Even if folks came outside yesterday, guess what?
But they I can't see no.
A lot of ain't even gonna bounce.
That's a compliment.
Alright, the comments. They said Quill just came outside, got that man on my dick, on my L's. Come on now. On first grade, I've been just
Hey, L's, just start doing around horses in the hood.
This back and forth would only intensify, with Vert now addressing Trap City explicitly, while Q50 would reminisce about the times that he allegedly made Trap City members run, before the discussion would eventually turn to Lil, with Jeff saying how he can't even smoke with you if you don't smoke Lil.
I wasn't even talking about them because they had some goofy to me now, because I wasn't even talking about them. I wouldn't even say that about 67. They had some straight peons from me. They did it themselves. I wasn't even talking about them. They came trying to come into my lab and be funny. Yeah, folks used to ride horses. Why you talking about some this, that? You know all that. I see where it is. What it is, what is that? 80 of them want to be so cool with 67, and that's what it is. I see that. Oh, man.
They say I woke up, started spinning. That's like, you know what I'm saying? That's a compliment. Hey, L's on my dear grandmother grave. Please go stand on your block right now and I'll finish show you just like I did. No.
Yeah.
So, folks, can we get half that list lad today? Off that Leo? If you don't want to smoke Lil, I ain't trying to match. I ain't gonna lie. Let's play a new. If you ain't smoking my eyes, I can't smoke your eyes.
Then, after taking almost half a year break from dropping new music, Jeff would come out with a new song and music video together with Vert in late December 2023, a track titled Stretched. In the song, Jeff ends his verse by rapping how he caught one of his ops in a bowl, this more specifically meaning a fishbowl, which is a reference to somebody being caught in a car with windows that are not tinted, making them an easy target, with this obviously seeming like a clear reference to the fact that Lil was caught in a parked rideshare car. Jeff would later...
Alright, yo, that's it for part 2. I'll see you guys in part 3, man. We out.